And on that note, we cue the music.
Matt, Matt, Matt. Matt, Matt, Matt. Matt, Matt, Matt. Matt, Matt, meow.
Well, hello. It's Wednesday. Daryl DePriest is going to join us. He's running a couple minutes behind because he's actually on the West Coast for work right now. And we were lucky enough to even get him to join us. So I'm just going to reply to him. I'm sorry. I know it's semi-unprofessional, but we got to do what we got to do, right? So. How's everybody else doing? How you doing? Yeah. But yeah, he's going to be on his way. So, yeah. That being said, I apologize for that. You know, sometimes things happen with live TV. Anyway, back to business. What's up? Wednesday night, double header. Me and then 3 POA, 9 p.m. Eastern. First out of the gate, V. Conley, counting down the days till I get to hang out with all my friends and meet some wonderful new ones. It's very well put. I like that very much. Mr. M. Vargo sends a Chad Chat member for 2 months. Thank you, my friend, and says, dude, can't wait for another awesome bro chat, bro. Yeah, me too. Like I said, I'm fortunate enough to have Mr. Daryl DePriest joining us tonight. He is on the road for work, so we're just gonna, semper gumby, right? Stay flexible, ever flexible, whatever. Sure, somebody's gonna actually mean that's not what semper means. But for those of you who don't know, Daryl DePriest, he was the vice president of global brand management for Hasbro. Had a big hand in a lot of stuff with G.I. Joe, Star Wars Vintage Collection, many other things. Some of you may have seen him on The Toys That Made Us, but yeah, he's going to be joining us shortly. But for right now, we got the man, the myth, the legend himself, the brains behind Cotswold Collectibles and DFW G.I. Joe show. What's up, Greg?
Nothing much, man. I'm just enjoying the musical entertainment there.
Yeah. Gotta keep it real. How was your day? Busy?
Busy. Super busy, man. We've been adding some last, just getting everything in line. We're getting all the stuff coming in. We got stanchions coming in. We got banners coming in. We got, stands. I mean, all the little minutia that you rarely ever that you see at shows. We're getting all of those things in, and getting ready for the show. It's pretty nuts. In fact, the stanchions. The reason we're bringing in stanchions is obviously a lot of people know Bobby Vallow will be at the show, and I've been to shows that Bobby's been in, and so there's the giant rush of people that come in. So we have the stanchions there for crowd control, because we have a feeling that there's going to be a bum rush to the stage for Bobby on Friday night and for Saturday night. So he's very appreciative of that too. And
Gonna be nuts.
Yeah, so just last minute additions. It's
Gotcha.
dude, it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Speaking of crazy,
To
hang
put it
on 2
mildly.
seconds.
We've got what?
Hold on. Kato's Collection sends a member chat. It says freeze. It's the FBI. That's right. Hashtag FBI, my friend. And Just Jeff says something cleverly written here. Eat at Joe's. Also, hi, Greg. Looking forward to seeing folks at DFW and some of you other places, maybe. You just saw him the other day, right?
Yeah, we did a show right outside of Oklahoma City. I think the town was called Dale City, and it's a new show startup by I know him just as Tim, and I think they call it the 405. I'm probably butchering it, but yeah, we went up there to support it and ran into to Jeff and shot the shit for a little bit, and it was only a 1-day show, so it was kind of a turn and burn for us, but
Cool.
I think it's got some really good potential. Oklahoma City needs some toy love up there. So
rad. So for everybody hanging out, Daryl DePriest is here, and yeah, now he's actually here. So he was here, but Greg, he was kind of mocking you behind the scenes while you were talking. He was giving you this little bit. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth himself. Daryl DePriest. What's up, sir?
Hey, everybody. Chad, can you hear me? Is my audio on?
Sound great.
Okay, great, awesome. Greg, hey, how are you doing?
what's going on, man?
Hey, good to see you and everybody in the chat.
Yeah. So, Daryl, I can't say thank you enough for joining us. I know you're busy. I know you're doing stuff for work, and you and I kind of discussed that. Greg and I were talking about it a little bit backstage before you got here, but thank you so much for hanging out with us, everyone in the chat. It's a real honor to have you. I appreciate it.
Not at all, man. I love to talk to Joe fans and hang out, or action figure fans. You know, all those peeps. I need any excuse. I'm just sitting here doing some hard honest labor, but I need to get away from it. So sorry if I look gross. I've been out in the hot San Diego sun.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah. Hey, Mr. Stevenson.
For anyone who doesn't, sorry, I kind of flashed it up there real quick. For anyone who doesn't know, you were the vice president of global brand management at Hasbro. Give us your 60-second rap sheet, if you can do it in 60 seconds, because you've been around.
Actually working in the toy industry was my dream job, and I set my sights on that a long time ago and got some great advice from Vinny DeLiva that kind of steered me in the right direction. And eventually, it took me about 8 years, but I eventually made my way to Hasbro, where I came in as director of G.I. Joe in 2001. And that's right when the Cincinnati office, which used to be Kenner Toys, they were shutting that down and moving all the boys' toys back to Rhode Island. You know, probably 7 years earlier, they had gone the other way, and that's when, you know, Kirk Bozigian he exited Hasbro because of that shift of brands there. 7 years later, largely because of the collapse, you know, the debacle that was episode 1, everything moved back to Rhode Island, and so many people did not go from Cincinnati to Rhode Island. It opened up a lot of opportunities, and that's where I got mine. I came in, I interviewed with Alan Hassenfeld, and, you know, because I was coming in for G.I. Joe, it's rare that the very top of the company interviews a director. I would say it's probably never happened, but because it was G.I. Joe,
Right.
Alan had to approve, and I got the job, and I was there for 18 years. Over most of that time, I was over G.I. Joe on like 4 or 5 different stints. There were a few periods where I wasn't over G.I. Joe, and then it bounced back to me. It always kind of came back to me.
Right.
And then 10 years of that, I was over Star Wars, and that's where I got my promotion during my time on Star Wars, which really bracketed the launch of the Episode 3 line, so Revenge of the Sith, and then my sunset was developing the toy line for whatever Episode 7 was called. It was like a Rise of
right.
No, what was that called?
Force Awakens.
Force Awakens. So the Force Awakens developed that toy line, and then came back in a different role, and that was it pretty much. A few years later, I was out.
So I put this guy up here for you since you were talking about the Kenner people at Cincinnati, and I know you have strong opinions about G.I. Joe Extreme.
Yeah. So
I stuck him up there for you.
I wrote a comic treatment for DC Comics one time that it sought to be. This was probably in '98 or so. It sought to be the grand unifying theory of G.I. Joe to try and reconcile all the different universes, military era, adventure team, Real American Hero,
right,
and that Sergeant Savage and
that, yeah.
And I have to say, in my treatment, it opened on the headquarters of G.I. Joe Extreme, and within, I think, 2 pages, they were all dead. So I did it. I basically used them as the setup for something that was hunting all G.I. Joes throughout the eras. Nowadays, I guess it would be different universes.
Right? Yeah, it'd be a multiverse these days, and no one would die because they're in a multiverse, right?
Exactly. It's Cobra Commander's grand plan is to wipe out G.I. Joe wherever it is, because they'll eventually develop the technology to travel the multiverse. So you gotta wipe them all out.
I'm sure at the time it was pretty.
I'm looking at Greg. Actually, Greg's going, this product idea has legs. I wonder.
Kind of does, yeah.
I wonder if we could 3D print some stuff, and White Elephant Toys could, do some mojo and.
Yeah. Daryl, Jeff says, I know a lot of kids appreciate what you made happen in their toy world, and some adults. So thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. I'm glad you appreciate it. It was all about the play. It was all about making things that had a ton of play value, and any kids now that grew up playing with Joe in the aughts, I'd love to hear from them, what they thought of the toys, because I thought the team there did some amazing stuff, and I was just very privileged to be able to work with those guys. And there are a lot of unsung heroes like Nick Langdon and Jack Farah. Are 2 of them, and I hope to evangelize them someday. In a way that we're going back, and Todd Pleasant and I are digging up the history, or actually telling the history, doing the research, and then bringing the stories of the adventure team designers, to folks. And that's why Greg is having us reprise the presentations we did earlier at the DFW show, and we're just too thrilled, to be able to get those stories out. And the guys I worked with in the 2000s, I think, deserve all of that light of day, and hopefully their time will come too. So I've just got to sort out a bunch of stuff, and I've been doing some research on that, and hopefully we'll be able to put that together someday.
I have to say that as a 1/18 scale G.I. Joe guy, I always have been since, not just since '82, but also Kenner Star Wars and Fisher Price Adventure People, but I've always been a 1/18 scale guy. I know a lot of people tend to thumb their noses at what they call the dark years of G.I. Joe, but I have to say some of the most toyetic vehicles and play sets came out of that time frame. I love it. The early aught stuff, before the 25th anniversary stuff hit, which I love that as well, all the way up through 50th. And Some of the vehicles people they either don't know or they have never seen because they wrote it off. Bless you. But
Bless you, Greg.
I love that stuff. All the early 2000 stuff. It's amazing.
Well, let me tell you just a little bit about that era, and I definitely have feelings on that era. So I, coming into Hasbro when I did in 2001, 3 3/4 was a line that the Flames had been fanned by Brian Wilk, who was in the what was called the Hasbro Direct division, and they were the ones who were making store exclusives and things like that. Yeah. And they were given permission by the G.I. Joe team in Canada to do, to play with the 3 3/4 line because they weren't focused on that. And Brian Wilk and the team there did a great job. And I call it that flame packaging. I know it actually has a name, and this is the stuff from like 97, 98, the 3-packs, and then the flame package. Chad, do you remember? Do you know the name? Is it on the tip of your tongue for the line they did? It was the Real American Hero Collection or something like that. Anyway, maybe somebody in chat knows that. But it's those 2-packs. They did really well. They got national distribution. Mm-hmm. And then I came in and immediately I spent more time with Brian over there in his kind of group. And his group was almost pariah because they weren't the Cincinnati crew that came in. But I thought they were doing great work. They really understood the core of the line. And they were the ones who were going to do all the exclusives of the line. It was Brian Wilk. It was John Boyce, they're both still at Hasbro. Amazing guys. John Boyce is the one who's famous for doing the Pimp Daddy Destro. He was the designer on that. So they were doing great work, and I immediately knew that I wanted to work with them on the relaunch of Joe. And when I came in, one of the first things we presented to Alan Hassenfeld was our plans for first a continuation of the great 12-inch lines that was out. I think Pearl Harbor was out, and we pitched our follow-up to that. Yeah. But we also pitched a relaunch of 3 3/4 Joe, and that became Joe versus Cobra, and we had originally wanted to launch the line in 2003. And Alan Hassenfeld, I remember we were making our presentation. This was at the end of 2001. We said, and we want to do it right. Yeah, well, we didn't say we want to do it right. We said we want to launch, very strong. It's going to be a very aggressive launch. We're going to really put a lot of resources into it, and we're going to launch in fall 2003. So it was like 2 years away. Yeah. And I thought Alan was going to go, this is great. Finally, you're bringing it back. This is awesome. But instead, Alan said, no. And I had a great relation with Alan. I met with him just about every month over in his office. We talked about what was upcoming, and he knew we were going to launch the line. But he said, no, you will launch it next year. So he took the time frame that we had and chopped it in half. And that caused us to do less on what I would say is the upfront kind of maybe the research part of research and design, and instead, I don't know if anything would have been different, but the design team had a very specific design in mind. And, I was advocating for just replicating the O-ring. Like, we've got something that worked. I had spent a lot of time with Wilk and Boyce and those guys who really understood O-ring and were innovating around it. And the core brand team said, no, we're going to do what we think is right for the brand. And I was kind of like an isolated voice. And I said, I think we're making a major mistake, but that was what we launched with, which was the new Sculpt era non-O-ring figures. And I was, to this day, I'm still very embarrassed that I could not get the team to launch with something that was more, that I knew that the fans would like more than that. And
you're talking about the 25th anniversary?
No, the 25th anniversary came later. That was the brainchild of John Warden. So, but something like that. Actually, in my mind, it was O-ring or nothing. John actually conceived the super articulated figure along the lines of other brands that were
Right.
that were non-O-ring at the time. But anyway, so bottom line, the dark era, the dark times of Joe, I think they're justifiable because Hasbro made mistakes. I was leading the team that made the mistakes. I recognized the mistakes we were walking into and tried to alleviate it, and then spent the better part of 3 years trying to course correct and clean up and redo the sculpts that I thought merited, you know, an O-ring treatment. But basically, it kind of wasted a lot of resources because we were spinning our wheels trying to correct what was a debacle. The vehicles had two types of vehicles: the chunky first era vehicles, and then I thought we corrected and got to some really cool vehicles after that. You know, we brought in we got the license for Hummers and did some really clean kind of modern vehicles. So I do think they got better. There are some that pain me because they're so chunky, you know. So it's I view that era with very mixed feelings. I felt I was privileged to do some cool things and launch comic packs and
Is this
do
one
a lot
you?
of great stuff. Yeah, that was me.
This vehicle is so freaking good. I love this vehicle.
It's a phenomenal vehicle. If the line had gone another year,
Oh,
you can
yeah.
bet we would have done like woodland camo version. You know,
Yeah.
we had it all in the line plan. All, you know, we were going to use that over and over and over.
It's
and over.
perfect. It sits right next to me because I love this vehicle so much with Bobby Vala's 50th anniversary low light chilling on it,
Nice.
sitting on the hood with its arm up on the caliber 50. But it's one of my favorite vehicles of all time. It's so good.
Sweet.
I have some questions for you both.
Yes.
And everybody who's hanging out with us, almost 100 of you, thank you for being here to hang out and listen to Daryl and Greg. If you guys have questions for these two gentlemen, throw them in the chat, and I will, by all means, I'll pose them to them. So, Greg, you know what? I'm going to hold your question. So, hold on. Thomas Goes Nostalgic sends a $2 super chat and says, Episode 1 through 3 figures were the best era of Star Wars 1/18 scale.
Well, that's a hot take, but it's totally respectable because I will say this: they were marketed as movie toys, and those lines went deep. And so I don't know if you're Thomas, if you're specifically referring to the 99 to like roughly 2006 era, where you know that the lines were pretty much following the movie. The in between years, actually between episode 1 and episode 2 were kind of a wild, actually all the way up to episode 3 were kind of wild westy with the saga collections. There were tons of aliens, tons of wacky, you know, cool droids that you didn't see. I thought it was the essence of what Star Wars should be, and no surprise that line was headed by Brian Wilk. So actually was that during that time? Yeah, so Brian Wilk headed up a lot of that line on the design side, and really they did some great work. Brian Wilk, Brian Parrish, those guys did great work. So there are a lot of cool, really cool figures in there, and I'm of the mind that you don't need I'm the biggest one who's guilty of using super articulation as a reason for doing a new figure.
Right.
But I do not believe that articulation actually matters a heck of a whole lot when it comes to Star Wars figures. Well, I think it's important for Joe because it's always been core to Joe,
right.
But I do not think it's important to Star Wars figures. I think the fact that the figures exist, they're sculpted well. They look like what they're supposed to look like, which is either on screen or off the page. Their proportions are right. They all fit together and they don't fall apart. That's key. We went too far with articulation.
I have always believed, and I say it all the time, so anybody who's hanging out in the chat will be like, yeah, he does say that all the time. I don't think that articulation should ever take away from the art that is a toy. You know, the sculpt, the paint apps, all the work that goes into making these beautiful toys. When you over articulate them to the point where anatomically they look like garbage, or I've always argued that like you don't need toe articulation and all this crazy stuff to have a good playable toy. But
I do agree with you. I think there's magic in having a consistent buck like the Real American Hero line had.
Yeah.
That you sculpt around and you always adhere to that buck. It actually frees up design in a lot of ways to really have fun. But it's like freedom within a frame.
Yeah.
Star Wars is a different animal because every character, can be unique and different. There really
Sure.
is no
taller,
consistent
smaller,
buck.
fatter, thicker. Right.
And I think for the most part, the Star Wars design team has done a brilliant job not letting articulation get in the way of the sculpt and the design. I think it got in the way of play, and that was a big thing in the probably from the later Clone Wars lines on, like right around, we launched Clone Wars in 2008, and by 2009, 2010, we had added like super articulated hands that could rotate.
Right.
But those things fell off. The hands fell off. Kids were frustrated. Parents were calling consumer affairs saying, I have an
They had like a wrist below their wrist. It just kind of looked a little weird. They had that bulby thing going on.
Yep. And I guess they hadn't created the design for the fully articulated wrists that are trapped, fully trapped in there.
Right.
Yeah. So we were basically making toys that were articulated for articulation's sake, and I can be blamed for a lot of that. And I think it kind of ruined the playability and the fun. They looked great, but so there is that balance. But I do agree with you that I think play and appearance are two important things that articulation should not be put ahead of those.
What do you think, Greg? Articulation over play or play over articulation?
Well, I mean, you guys are talking about it. I mean, I was collecting clone troopers and stormtroopers and anything named trooper, like a crackhead. And I actually dug the articulation, but I was seeing it from an adult collector, who grew up with a 5 POA. And to see these that had a little bit better articulation than the Clone Wars ones. So I appreciated the detail. So, but that was just me. But I remember Toys R Us and buying that crap like crazy.
Greg and I were also of an era where we grew up with 12-inch Joe, where articulation is the entire point, I think, of 12-inch Joe, because it was an infinitely playable figure that allowed you to do the ultimate storytelling. Yeah. And G.I. Joe won that arms race because of what it was. And everything else seemed inferior and not real. That wasn't real G.I. Joe because of that. So we always approach it two ways. So my childhood was bracketed by 12-inch Joe at the early age, and then kind of it sunsetted for me with Star Wars. So I had both, and I understood both, and I think that actually gave me a unique perspective. When I was later able to get into the toy industry. Star Wars was about universe building. G.I. Joe was about, play and detail and, articulation and stimulating the imagination. So imagination was key to both of them.
True. Yeah, definitely agree. Greg, got a question for you.
What you got?
Are the panels a first in line deal, or do you sign up? Good question.
The panels are first in line. So once we fill up we have seating for 100 people. And so once that room's full and all the tables, not the tables, but all the chairs are full, it's just first come, first serve. So, if somebody wants to sit in there from, 10 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon and attend every single panel, they're totally free to. But it's just first come, first serve. The only thing that we have per se that is a kind of a paid admission event is the working with build a vehicle with the master designers, which is Saturday night. Workshop, that's the workshop is $25. It's limited to 30 people, so that one's a paid event. But the other ones, it's just basically you come in, you sit down, and once if we get 100 people in there, I'm sure we could probably fit maybe 5 more people in there. But it is a smaller capacity room, but yeah, that's basically it. There's no reservation sheet. We're not like Disney World or anything like that. So.
Okay, so Zakanin, there you go. Awesome question, because I'm sure a lot of people were probably wondering that same thing in their head. You know how it is, like one person asked, but 20 people had the same question. Here's a follow-on question for you, Greg. Since I am a Chad and you know a dude who has a press pass, can that dude just freely just kind of stroll with a press pass? Yeah, buddy. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll let him know. I'll let that guy know.
Let that guy know. Yeah,
I will. Oh, and I meant to say, Thomas Goes Nostalgic. Thank you very much for the $2 super chat. I really appreciate it.
So I want to say I've been thinking more. So chat's on fire right now. There are so many insane comments and questions going on.
I know. I'm
like each one of these could be 20 minutes. But Thomas's question was phenomenal, and I thought it was great for another reason too. It was a very good comment. Here's why. In those days of managing Star Wars, and this is before the time I came on the brand, Hasbro focused on the movie during the movie year, and that was it. Every movie year, and deliberately, they deliberately focused away from the movie in the following years, more on the saga, and that forced a focus more on kind of what I love, the more obscure parts of the movies that really didn't get a lot of daylight, because
all your peripheral characters.
Back in the days, that's all you had.
Yep.
Nowadays, it's a very different line, because you've got one line, the vintage collection, that's it, and there's so many awesome things to do, and they have just a measly number of items to do it in. The galaxies become a lot bigger, but there's a lot less real estate. So I know it's very frustrating to fans. It's frustrating to me. You know, I want to see more, and if that's why I'm no longer at Hasbro, because they don't want my management style there anymore. I mean, basically, I would try to do way too much for the poor brand teams. You know,
I have to back up what you just said, because my good friend Jay Bartlett, he's a YouTuber from Canada. He's done a lot of stuff like Action Figure Adventure and all these programs. He is a massive Star Wars collector. And he and I always talk about how Hasbro was just on fire through that whole period of the aughts and the early teens with, you know, Star Wars was doing all these peripheral characters, and you want the guy with the freaking ice cream maker running around through Cloud City, and somebody's going to say his name in the chat, and
Wilro Hood.
There it is. And you want this guy and that guy and, you know, that droid and whoever this person was, where you have to go rewatch the movie in widescreen in 70 millimeter.
Yes.
Like, oh, there they are back there.
That's what I did.
Star Wars was on fire then. Joe was on fire then. Like everything was bulletproof. And I loved that whole time frame, you know, probably arguably like a 13, 14 year time frame where it was just killing it. All the way around, just killing it. And
well, we didn't have the restrictions that were later developed. And you're right. Right around whenever I started for I don't know how many years, I used to do the Star Wars Weekly Q&A. I answered those myself. You know, that the team Phil, you know, would occasionally answer a few questions, but mostly I did it.
Right.
And it became so many questions. But I do remember that there was a little bit, my job in those Q&As was always to try and tear down the wall between the company and the brand team and make fans feel like we're fans. You know, we have the privilege of executing things, but we do have to make decisions because it is a company after all that has to make money. And, you know, and there are things that rules we have to abide by. One of those later, and that you see that the kind of tone change, I think, where I felt it through my Q&A, was this discussion about item count. And I wanted to introduce to fans that Hasbro is managing item count very carefully. It's a big thing. You only have so much item count. It became introduced into like so many brand conversations. And that's basically what happened was, I feel I like kind of broke, I broke the system in many ways, because I tried to do so many things and add more exclusives when the opportunity came up. And Hasbro, the team at once wanted us to do more, but when they came and asked, can you do more Star Wars or more Joe? Can you fill fill a gap that we have on this other brand. Can Star Wars help? I said, yep. Star Wars or Joe. Got ideas? Let's see if we can do them. So we kind of shoved in more. But at the same time, you know, it sometimes was too much, especially when sales started to slow down a bit. So the item count restrictions came in, and that really hurt brands that had a collectible following, because it meant you can do much less of the cool, fun, what would be perceived as niche stuff. But in Star Wars, it's things like little droid assortments or Mandalorian assortments, you know, things like that. Those are the things that get cut aside, cut off. Oops, sorry, I'm smashing my furniture.
Daryl, I know you only have like an hour-ish. There's a lot of questions coming in, so I'm just going to try to hit a lot of these for you. V. Conley sends a two-month member chat. Thank you, V. Conley, and says, G.I. Joe not only allowed me to share memories of toys with my older brother, who's 12 years older, but also my baby brother in the aughts, who's 8 years younger.
Wow.
I thought that was really cool.
Wow, that is impressive. And
then M. Vargo sends a $5 super chat. Thank you, Mr. Vargo, and says, so being a baby, he's like a kid. He's not a kid, he's an adult, but he's young. A real
born in
American
97, I assume. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. A real American hero, Joe versus Cobra, Spy Troops, Valor versus Venom was my introduction to Joe. Nothing but love for those toys.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So glad I could contribute to your childhood memories.
And Vargo and I, we hang out in streams all the time. We talk, we're friends. The two of us and several other people, we share a very loyal love for all of those lines. And he's also huge into Leonard the Core. So
Leonard the Core, I really have a lot of respect for Leonard the Core too.
Yeah.
I was collecting that when there wasn't a lot of G.I. Joe on the shelves, and because it was cool. Some of those characters, especially that guy with the turban, you remember him?
Yeah.
Like, this is from, I don't know, even what 90s. I'm like, they're doing cool figures. I really like that. Neat designs.
Yeah. And they just keep trucking. I just got their moon buggy and the space capsule and that whole set. And they're so great. I love them.
Oh, I got to pay attention to what they're doing. I haven't for a while. Where do you find it, Chad?
I purchased it from a buddy who was kind of thinning out his collection.
Oh, okay. Got it. So
That's
not necessarily a new product. All right.
Mike's GI Dojo says, Spy Troops re-release of the Mobile Command Center was so amazing. That was my childhood grail, but my parents couldn't find it in 87. In 2003, I bought it myself.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, that is real cool that got re-released for that. Suka says, good to see the big Daryl DePriest doing well. One of the few corporate managers that would freely talk to you at Joe Cons about toys and enjoy criticism back in the day.
That's true. I enjoy criticism. I actually like it. I love it. I love to hear things because, ultimately it's from fans, and it can only make us better. I tried to always weight it. Is this a one-off? Is your criticism representative, or is it kind of more isolated? So I kind of always I took a lot of input, but I wanted to try and get to see the big picture as much as I could. So that's why I talk to everybody. I love talking to so many people. As a matter of fact, there are a couple instances of all my time doing conventions where I couldn't talk to people because, like, I was already talking to other people and I know they wanted to talk. And there were a couple of fans that like kind of got upset and were mad at that. And I feel guilty about that because I couldn't kind of get to everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. I mean, it's everyone's time is limited, especially when you're talking about like you and Vinny DeLevia and, Kirk Pazigian and Ron Rudat and even Larry Hama. Like, you can't sit there with somebody forever. You can't get to everybody. Speaking of which, V. Conley is asking this. It felt like a good follow-up.
Yeah, if you want me to ruin something for you, V. Conley, I will.
Hey, Greg, you want to sign some shit and ruin it for me?
Greg will.
Yes, you do. Yeah.
So V. Conley, I'd be happy to. Whatever you have that you want signed, I will be happy to sign.
Rad. Let's see. Here's a question from Forum Icebreaker. What impact did the Steel Brigade Club have?
Okay, so this is the club back in this is a Real American Hero Club back in the 80s and 90s, because I don't think we had a more modern one in my time, did we? I mean, we had a G.I. Joe club that you could get that Frostbite mail away, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
green and black, but that I think we just called that the G.I. Joe club.
That's
So
what I thought.
so Forum Icebreaker, your question about Hasbro having a club that people could join to feel like more connected or even a part of G.I. Joe. That's the beauty of Steel Brigade. You can become a part of G.I. Joe.
Uh-huh.
It did have an impact on what we launched later, although, you know, we weren't working with the big scale that they had, that the Real American Hero did, but we wanted to start something up. So that's why we started the G.I. Joe club back up. But we really couldn't, really continue that with, with a lot. Did we actually have people to create the name of their own character on Frostbite, or did we just send them a Frostbite? I forget. I don't know if we had them do a character name like Steel Brigade does. I think I wanted to do that, but we didn't have the kind of structure to do that.
I don't remember, but that's the beauty of people in the chat. Somebody will be like, actually, here's an awesome, this is just a straight comment, and I'm starring all the questions as they come, which they're still coming. Slacker Supreme says, I remember watching The Toys That Made Us, thinking that you were such a cool guy, talking about everything with such respect and passion.
Oh, thanks. That's a really nice comment. It's The Toys That Made Us was kind of a pinnacle, in the sense that they were asking. I'm actually on the Transformers episode, and I shouldn't have any business being on the Transformers episode because I am the first to admit. So I'm into Star Wars, G.I. Joe, and superhero, both Marvel and DC. Kind of 6-inch superheroes. That's enough to keep anybody busy. I never watch Transformers. I'm not into it. I hardly know anything about it. But the reason I was on that episode is because I was able to talk about the history that was created when Takara originally licensed G.I. Joe, and that led to a whole bunch of cool, amazing sublines that spun off. Eventually it got back to, Transformers, came out of that, as well as, I think a Real American Hero was a direct descendant of some of that stuff too. And Micronauts, and which is another line.
Micronauts, yep, for sure.
And because I was the historian of all those things, when that camera crew came, they basically said, "Oh, you should talk to Daryl. He knows something about that bridge," or I mentioned it to one of, to one of the guys, and they said, "Holy smokes, that's something cool. Can you go on camera?" And it's because I had that knowledge and I was in the right place at the right time that I was asked to talk about that. Otherwise, G.I. Joe was just, pure. My passion for, the most amazing brand ever created came out there. So that's all legitimate passion.
Hell yes. And that's what we're all here for, right? It's the 60th anniversary of Joe. And I got to say, Greg, you and I have talked about it numerous times before. I can't say enough times how rad it is that, like, your guest list just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I knew I was coming to DFW one way or the other. This is before the whole somebody parking on somebody else's date and all that stuff that was unfortunate. But I got to say, for the 60th anniversary of G.I. Joe, you're freaking killing it, man.
You're on fire, man.
Killing it. And M. Vargo did say, yes, you could do your own name on that Frostbite.
Oh, super cool. Thank you, Embargo.
Yep,
that
awesome.
was a direct take from the Steel Brigade Club. We wanted to at least do that. So
cool. Just Jeff is asking, Greg, have you picked up any more Storm Shadow Mezco figures for DFW? If you have shopping requests, put them in the chat.
No, he had asked me when we were at the show. He had asked me. He's like, because I had Firefly, I had Snake Eyes, and I had Destro, And he was like, "Hey, do you have Storm Shadow?" I'm like, no. I didn't even know it existed.
Yep.
And so I told him I've actually reached out to our distributor, and hopefully I will be getting those in. So I haven't forgotten Jeff. Jeff made a lasting impression on me. So yeah, we're still working on it for him.
All right, I'm going to bounce around just a little bit. Here's another one for Greg from our good friend Ryan Laserpants from the 3POA podcast. Again, don't forget to catch Ryan after this. Hey, Greg, I was disturbed that the 3POA podcast wasn't a featured guest on your website. Pause for dramatic effect. 3POA is a much bigger deal than NARC.
I gotta show some love for NARC though, man. Greg Robertson, those guys. Yeah. I've known them for years. They've really been supporting our show for many, many years. And I knew Boston Mike before he was Boston Mike. I just knew him as Mike. He used to be a vendor at our show.
Shit. Just talk some shit back. That's all.
Who? For Ryan?
Ryan, yeah. Just give him some.
I can't, man. His hair's too beautiful for me, man.
Yeah,
his hair's way too beautiful.
He has majestic hair. Yeah.
But he had to be aggressive, man. You got aggressive in there. I mean, you have your own swap meet named after you. So Ryan's got to pick up his A game. So
all I did was ask for a room, but hey, it's cool one way or the other. It's cool. Daryl,
there's my shit talking. Sorry.
Good job, Greg. Daryl, question for you from Same Time Toys. What are your thoughts on the Star Wars HasLab?
I almost wept when it was announced. I think was I driving to Atlanta when it was announced? No, that was the Skybound Compendium. I was driving when the Skybound Compendium came out, and I'm like, holy crap, I've got to get one of these signed book plates.
It's like
and I actually
5,000% funded.
I do not recommend this, but I'm like driving to Atlanta, and then I'm like, I have to get one of these book plates. So I signed up. Anyway, the Star Wars HasLab is the cantina with a cluster of aliens, especially the Tonica sisters, that in my time on Star Wars, Lucasfilm had always said you can never ever do these figures list. I will not go into those reasons, but they were locked. They have been unlocked. It is a dream come true.
Yeah,
I supported it at the deluxe level instantly. I know it's expensive for a lot of people. I happen to think it's a bargain given how much work and love and attention has gone into that set and getting these figures, the Tonica sisters and Wooer. It's a dream come true, and I almost cried because I have dreamed of this like my entire life. The cantina scene for me is the favorite scene in Star Wars. And
sorry.
Okay, and over the years, I made sure that we did a cantina aliens. We tried to get like one of them in every year, and little pieces of the cantina, little sections of the bar, and stuff like that. And I never dreamed that they would be doing this set. So what a time to be a Star Wars fan. And I hope it funds fully. I don't know what it's going to end up at, but please that thing better get made. It'll be like Christmas when that comes. So, what are your thoughts, Same Time Toys? I want to know, so we can chat at DFW. I would love to chat.
And
sorry, Greg,
people,
so much Star Wars talk.
No, it's all good. A lot of people know the reason for the whole Tonica sister thing, why it wasn't, and then why it was again. Hey, Daryl, I got a question for you.
Sure.
For everybody else in the chat, I'm just kidding. But I have a question for you. Forgive if my time frames are fuzzy.
Okay.
Were you around during the whole Lorenzo Di Bonaventura Hooded Cobra Commander thing?
Yes. And,
yes, you knew it, Greg. Greg knows.
So I didn't hear Lorenzo say that. And I was probably off the brand. I was off the brand for a few periods, as I talked about before, usually between the movies. And then they asked me to take the line back again after the set.
Right.
So I wasn't involved at all in the brand for the first movie, the Rise of Cobra.
Right.
I was involved in the brand for all of Retaliation up to the launch, and then pretty much all the way, I think, to the development of the Snake Eyes movie. But I never heard Lorenzo say that. However, his direct pipeline was never to the people in the trenches. It was always either to Brian directly, actually almost exclusively to Brian Goldner directly, or sometimes the people in charge of Hasbro Studios. So, you know, when you're at the top like that, you only talk to the top.
Yeah.
So whatever was communicated about what Lorenzo said, it would have come top down from somebody else or sideways from somebody at Hasbro Studios.
Yeah. And
I was never told that directly. However, I am not surprised. I am not surprised about that interpretation, because the hooded thing is, it invites, you know, Lorenzo's a very powerful person, obviously, when it comes to Star Wars. A lot of the, you know, the fate and direction of Star Wars entertainment is tied up with the deal with Lorenzo. You know, anybody who feels that mask represents an executioner or a Middle Eastern thing or whatever, if somebody has an opinion on that, they'll vocalize that opinion, and then it will become socialized through the company once that's repeated. So
yeah, I get the whole keep it at arm's length, because like you're preemptively avoiding it. I understand that, but yeah, I got another question for you.
So that's Lorenzo's opinion, and maybe he said that. I don't know. It's hearsay to me.
Say it. Yeah, there's articles where he talks about it openly.
Oh, he does. Okay. Yeah, I've just heard about it. Personally, I think it's no big deal.
Why? I'm not gonna ask. It's just facetious, and it's just gonna show my hand. So I'm not gonna ask it. Actually, real quick, since you know every opportunity is a learning opportunity, there it is, Daryl. Right there.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Oh, KKK. Yeah.
So anyway, okay. I'm just gonna remove that, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I got bummed out when I saw the pre-production work from Retaliation, where there was supposed to be a terror drome and all this stuff and all these locations, and I'm like, man, that would have been cool. But that's just me.
Yes, I'm trying to remember back. Boy, a lot of things happened in my time at Hasbro. I don't remember all of them.
Well, we can drive on from that. Here's a question from George Aiken, all the way from the UK. He's a huge Palatoy Action Force and, you know, G.I. Joe International Heroes collector. What did you think of the recolor and retooling Palatoy did of the 80s vehicles for Action Force?
Oh, they're stunning, George. They're beautiful. Oh, those dark greens and blacks and the red shadows. I should say they're awful. Nobody should buy them. People should just sell them at any price they can, because they're
just get rid of them,
because they're shite, right? That's what I should say, George.
Oh, they're so good.
In reality, they're beautiful. I want them all. You know, and funny, the vehicles, that's to the heart of your question. The vehicles, even more so than the figures. I think the vehicles are just awesomely stunning and so cool. And they were using some of those great early Real American Hero vehicles and just making them look completely different. I love it.
Like that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, fantastic. Oh, yeah. That's for one of the sub segments, right?
George has been helping me finish out my early 80s Palatoy, like the teams, you know.
Yep. Well, I will say I was at a show in Burbank last weekend. And I think it was like the Robo Fest and G.I. Joe show. So the Joe Bros ran a G.I. Joe attachment to this Robo Toy Fest. I think it's Robo Toy Fest. But anyway, and I was walking around and somebody had a Robo Skull. And I already have a Robo Skull. I bought it a number of years ago. And boy, I'm glad I did at the time, because I looked at that now and I'm like, you want how much for a Robo? That's like Well over $1,000 for a vintage. Yeah, well, that's the asking price. I don't know if he sold it or will sell it for that. That seems
The original, like I think what Robo Skull is doing is cool, or Skeletron.
Oh, what Skeletron, is doing.
The original Robo Skull, it's, you know, Nightmare TIE Fighter. It's a thing of legend, and until you hold one in your hand, you don't really know.
It's ridiculous.
I have a two-part question for you both, but real quick, if we can do it quick. Greg, Action Joe Figs, will you have Guyper Man hands available at the show?
If they arrive in time, they shipped from Spain today. So if they arrive by Wednesday, we can pack it in with the order, and we will have Guyper Man hands and Guyper Man muscle bodies at the show.
Rad.
We are literally slamming DHL to get stuff to us right now. So yes.
Yeah, I was waiting.
Yeah,
for
my DHL bill is going
to jump.
So, Greg, given this is your home show, in fact, it's your show.
Yeah.
Are you like I'm used to your traveling booth, which is like an end cap. How much space is Cotswold going to have? Are you bringing the whole warehouse, just turning it inside out?
It's mine.
We're going to have a double end cap booth at this show, and I have rented a 15-foot U-Haul to bring stuff. I mean, literally, I think we're probably going to be cleaning off shelves to bring product to the show, because it's just like you said. I mean, normally I'm doing Joanna or Toyland, and I got to fly in and ship it. But yeah, for this one, man, we just got it's an hour drive to get up there. So yeah, we're gonna have everything and probably the kitchen sink over there. So
sweet.
Oh, it's only an hour drive
for
Greg.
And Chad's probably gonna buy half of it, aren't you, Chad?
Yeah, you know it. Here's a question for you, Daryl. And
I tried to say you stuff last week, man, but you wouldn't buy anything.
I had all that stuff. Daryl, I gotta know.
Whatever.
Chris from Cutthroat is asking this, and I'm trying to get to the questions in order, but some of them I'm a little biased. Cutthroat Comics question: should Hasbro stop making 6-inch classified and go back to 1/18 scale?
No, they shouldn't. They shouldn't, because Hasbro's making a lot of money on classified 6-inch. It is. I tried to launch it for years while I was there, and started working on the end of my time there was what was the launch wave of classified 6-inch. It wasn't called classified. I knew that it was going to save G.I. Joe, and I could not convince the powers that be to launch it outside of being tied to a movie. So it had to be tied to the launch of Snake Eyes. It had to wait. And I really wish I got a chance to launch it to see the fan reaction. They should not go back to 3 3/4, because what I think Hasbro needs to do is focus, and they have done an incredibly interesting thing in allowing the 3 3/4 line to be licensed out. And we will get, as fans, more 3 3/4 product by them making an out licensing decision on that than we ever would have with them keeping it and trying to satisfy too many masters with a limited, again, item count and the resources that have been assigned to the Joe team.
Especially now. Now that they've cut production even more.
Yeah.
I will say, though, you know, that deal with Haya, and Greg here knows all about the deal with Haya. There's are you tracking all that, Daryl? All the red tape and the fine print and all that.
So I actually, it's interesting. I'm a Joe completist. I will say I don't own any of the highest stuff, and I don't know why. Because it's hard. It's like super hard to find. The stuff doesn't even really cross. Yeah. I don't know, Greg, you probably carry it, but anyway. But I also heard it's a little taller. Maybe that's not true. So I really don't know a lot about Haya. I'm looking towards what Super 7 is going to be doing as my pickup, the baton handoff from Hasbro for the line. That's kind of what
I'm looking forward to it as well, because Super 7 is that company that they're going to do just like they did with Reaction. They're going to do like Raven and those characters that never got made in 3 3/4 before, what they were doing with Reaction, they're going to do it with O-Ring. And I'm not much of an O-Ring guy. I'm more of a modern Joe guy.
Yep.
But they're going to be the ones to do it, like that Cobra Aspen helicopter, straight from issue 1. If anybody's going to make that vehicle, I guarantee it's going to be Super 7.
But, I wish the Cobra mothership got funded. I really do.
I tried to back it too, and I openly say that to everybody. I will say this about the Haya deal. Their deal is only Asian markets, right? Because you said you weren't really tracking why, and Greg's nodding his head. Their deal is only Asian markets. The only American companies that can get it would be third parties. So they have to go to the Asian distributors to get it. That's how Greg was getting it at Cotswold.
Gotcha.
Because, and Daryl, I don't know if you heard this, but for a hot minute, I had a guy. Right? I'm not going to say where or why, but there's a lot of people that work for Hasbro all over the place, right?
Sure.
He was not in Rhode Island, I will say that. But he told me the whole reason that Haya deal was penned was because the figure subscription service was coming back. And I was like, you know what? No. I could kind of see that. It's basically HasLab for dollies. And now it's up in the air after the whole, fourth quarter, 2023 and all that stuff. But anyway, to answer your question, Daryl, the Haya Joes are a little bit shorter than, say, a Pursuit of Cobra or a 50th anniversary Joe, and a little taller than an O-Ring Joe. I got the Snake Eyes and the Storm Shadow already. I pre-ordered others that haven't shown up yet, just the ones that I want. But they're kind of right there in between. You're looking at like this.
So they do fit in all the figures that we already have on our shelves. And
they're skinny.
It's just a matter that I've heard as well. So it's just a matter before I see him, and I know I'll probably have to be a completist for those. So Greg, if you can get them all for me, I would really appreciate it. Greg's our supplier for so many things. So.
Oh yeah. Greg's, he's our pusher. Rick Griswold says, just catching up. Where is this show, and when, and where do I get tickets? Okay, so Rick,
great question.
The DFW GI Joe and Action Figure Show is June 21st through the 23rd in Grapevine, Texas. All of the links to the show are in the description below, to everything, the website, the YouTube, the Instagram, the Facebook. It's all in the link below. Greg, do you want to add to that?
No, just just to add on the online ticket sales, which is available. That portal will be shutting down at the end of June 16th. But don't fret if you don't get your tickets in time. You can still go up to the admissions table either Friday afternoon while we're setting up and get, if you want to get a package, a commander's package, or if you want to get a 2-day package or whatever you want to get, we'll still be selling tickets. But if you want to get them online and get ahead of the waiting line, you can order them online from DFWJoeShow.com.
Rad. So thank you very much for that. I wanted to hit that because that is specifically show related. It kind of covers everything. Here we go. Mike's GI Dojo is asking both of you kind of a two-parter. Daryl, what are your thoughts of Valaverse Action Force?
Oh, I love it. I don't want to say I helped Bobby launch the line, but certainly Bobby bounced a lot of stuff off me, and
he says that openly.
Let me not overstate that. I in no way did anything to help Bobby with his toy company other than being a sounding board for so many of his ideas, especially in the early days. So
he said he talked to you and like Mark Weber and some other guys like at length. So
yeah, exactly. And I love Bobby. I had such a great time working with him at Hasbro, and I was happy to help him and in any way I could, and that is being a sounding board. And I'm so proud of what he did on his own, basically to bring that to live and to launch it. Bobby Valaverse is a force. I will say that Bobby
they are kicking ass.
Energy and vision. I look forward to seeing him at the show.
Hell yeah. And then Second part is to Greg. Have you thought about carrying Action Force in your store?
Yeah. In fact, we just got the solicitation from them yesterday in relation to, is it, man, I'm horrible with
Series
waves. Is
5?
it wave 5? Series 5. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. They sent us a solicitation. So we just got to get them up and online. So, because we've been kind of like, where do we start to carry him? Because, he already has that history of it right now. So we thought, well, with Series 5, we could kind of start fresh and build from there and see how the collector base goes with it. So they're pretty damn cool figures. I was looking at them today before I went home.
Brad. Daryl, we're at the 1 hour mark. So when you got to go, just let me know.
Thanks. I do have to take off. It's been an absolute blast. And, I can keep going and talking, Joe, all the time. I'm
real quick
excited.
Before you split,
we're going to see everybody next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Before you split, what was your favorite Joe item you worked on?
Wow. So I saw Raymond's question earlier in the chat, and and I don't know if I have an answer. I've probably answered that before in the past. I was thrilled to launch the 40th anniversary Joe line that we did in 2004, which was it was meant to be a one for one exact homage to the original Joe. So I'm very proud of that. I had wished the line had continued because it would have gotten even cooler than the first few waves that we did. But that might have been my one of my biggest achievements that I like. But there's so much stuff that I really love. The comic packs I think are incredible. Really happy we did those. Just as a whole body of work, because that allowed us to launch the October Guard, a lot of those new figures, which was one of my dreams is in starting the line, is how do we get the October Guard out? And so that was an accomplishment, I think, is actually hitting some of those unmade, real American hero characters from Marvel was a big deal. So I don't have a good answer. Some of it's 12, some of it's 3 3/4, and but
that's actually cool that you touched on October Guard, because somebody else was asking about the October Guard. So there you go. You two birds, one stone.
There you go. It's a twofer. All right.
Yeah, totally a twofer.
I've got to go clean up. I will see everybody in next week. I look forward to it. Greg, thanks for putting together what looks to be an epic show. I haven't been this excited about a show since the run up to HasCon and all the stuff we did with all the legends, and Dan Klingensmith helped pull that together, and Dan's helping you pull a very meaty section together. This is going to be very special for fans. I think this is going to be a great show.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We're excited about it. Glad you're part of it too.
Thank you, Daryl, for your time.
Thanks for the invite, and thanks, chat. It was a blast. Thanks, chat, for hanging out. This is awesome.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon, Daryl.
Thanks.
I know.
Very cool. You and me now, buddy.
You're stuck with me now.
That's okay. I love being stuck with you. Here we go. Let's move on. So World Made of Cardboard says, I'm really looking forward to the DFW Joe show. Hell yeah.
Heck yeah.
And then Mr. Madgus had to throw it in my face. Chad, did you hear that? It saved G.I. Joe. I mean, we all have opinions, and that's totally cool. Here you go, Greg. Zakanin is asking, super important question. Where are the go-to places to eat around Grapevine, around the show?
Oh, well, if you just want to walk someplace to eat, there's a place called Boomer Jack's, which is kind of like a bar and grill kind of thing. And then there's like an Olive Garden, and then there's a Buffalo Wild Wings. So that's within walking distance. If you want to go get some good Texas barbecue, though, there's a place in the next town over called Hard Eights, and they charge you. You pick out what type of meat you want, and they charge you by the pound of how much you want to eat. Yeah. And I mean, the stuff. If it's on a bone, it's coming off the bone. If it's not on a bone, it's going in your mouth faster. So
that's what she said.
I'll let you do the jokes.
Wait a second.
That's what she said.
Sorry.
That's what he said. But yeah, there's a lot of restaurants out there. We're trying to work with the hotel to kind of give us a list, but there's never a problem. Oh God, I have to post a link. There's a really cool restaurant that is right there. It's in an old house, and it's probably the best Mexican food in that area. I'll post it to our Facebook page. But we go there every time. In fact, we took Ron and Jenny there, Ron and Jenny Rudat, and Jenny loves the margaritas there, my friend. And so it's a good little restaurant to go to, and we had like a group of 20 of us that went there. But I'll post that. But I'm going to try to post between now and the show a link of at least a good 15 to 20 different places that are good to eat at. But I mean, it's Texas, man. We have some great Tex-Mex, we have some great barbecue, and it's some really good food out there.
See, so now we're talking about food, and everybody's like, "Oh God, you can't go to Texas and not have barbecue." And then Andrew M's like, "You had me at barbecue wings." B. Conley, I'm definitely going to a barbecue place in Grapevine. Yep.
Yeah. There's Hard Eights is the place where we used to really take people to go. I haven't been there in a while. I've gotten kind of spoiled to barbecue in my neck of the woods. But I just remember it was just like, I was like, yeah, I want this. And they're like, how many pounds do you want? I'm like, I don't know, man. How many pounds can I get? And they're like, you get whatever you want to. So I was safe. I think I got like a half a pound of ribs and a half a pound of, sausage and a half a pound of brisket. And you're going through meat sweats by probably about 8 o'clock. So yeah, definitely pace yourself or you'll be, we got nighttime activity. So
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Put all that meat in my mouth.
Put it in my belly.
Ostradamus.
I was talking.
Grapevine, Texas, home of corporate GameStop. Sorry, you were talking about what?
GameStop is there, and oddly enough, there's also a Warhammer store that's there. That's just right up the road from the convention center. I took a buddy of mine to the Warhammer store that was there, and I'm not as familiar with Warhammer as everybody else. I was the guy who always played Star Wars X-Wing and some D&D. But they got a presence up there, and then GameStop's up there too. Grapevine's a cool little town to go to. That's why we've been kind of encouraging people to make it like a week-long thing, because you got downtown Grapevine, which is really super cool, and then you've got Six Flags over Texas, which is the poor man's Disney World, and that's over in Arlington. So you can get to there, and then probably I don't know, man, there might be a baseball game going on or whatever. So
You see all these freaking comments? Let that hot meat touch the back of your throat.
Yeah.
And then
some people are kind of okay.
I got to put this up.
Yeah.
Plus,
and that's why I can't.
And a good friend. So yeah.
Well, that's why I can't go to Arby's anymore. So.
Action Joe Fig says, looking forward to meeting you all in person next week. I can't believe it's next week. That's crazy.
Dude, it's freaking nuts, man. Like I said, we did this show this last weekend, and then it's like I was talking to working with one person to get all the stuff there, and I was like, when are the t-shirts coming in? Because we ordered like 315 t-shirts for the show. And she was like, they'll be here next Wednesday. I'm like, yeah, why don't you cut that a little closer? Because literally we were packing the U-Haul Thursday. But yeah, I just remember last year, I called Kurt Baziggy. I think Kurt was the first guy I talked to about the show. And then, it just kind of started steamrolling from there. And boom, yeah, it's next week. So I'm definitely going to have to get my sleep in, because I don't think I'm even going to sleep while I'm doing this show. There's so much, dude, there's so much going on.
Oh yeah, there's tons going on.
Tons going on. So, but I'm really proud of it. I was telling my wife earlier, I was like, I kind of have to pinch myself, because I remember being that kid and getting stalker at a JCPenney's and and collecting all the GI Joes and getting the flag and all like that, and reading all the comics, And now I'm talking to these guys. I mean, I'm talking to Ron Rudat, and I'm talking to Larry Hama and Kurt Bazigyan, and it's just like surreal, And I'm just glad I got him in, because when Brian Savage used to do the show, under the International G.I. Joe Collectors Club, I mean, he had all the big time names, Spears and I don't think he had Don, but he had Sam Spears and Don Levine and all those guys that helped from 64 on G.I. Joes, and got to see those guys. And so I'm happy that I'm able to move on to the next generation of guys with Daryl's part of that, obviously, but having Kurt Bazigian and Vinny DeLeva and Kurt Groen and Greg Bernson and all those guys, so that they can get out there and talk to the people. And I mean, what better time to do it than the 60th anniversary? Because we only have a 60th anniversary this year, and that's it.
Yep.
And so, and these are the most amazing guys. They're just, I'm going to have a meeting with them tomorrow with Dan, and we're going to kind of nail down all the stuff. But the workshops that these guys are working on, we got, we're going to be talking about the adventure team with, Daryl. Daryl's a super encyclopedia of knowledge about adventure team. He and Todd Flats are going to be doing a thing. And then we're going to kick it over to Super Joe with Steve Stovall. And then we're going to kick it over to Real American Hero. And Kling and Smith will be running that one. In fact, we'll be doing 2 parts. We're doing a Saturday and Sunday. And then what's really super cool is we're going to kick it over to Hall of Fame, Classic Collection, and Timeless, because it's like, Daryl was talking about, the people that grew up in the 90s and the 2000s, they're getting old enough to they're going to the shows. So we're very fortunate that we're going to be talking. We'll have Kurt Groen will be working with us to do the panels on like that. Maybe we can get Daryl to jump in too, if he wants to talk about that. So we're trying to really cover. We can't really cover the 60s because those guys, we lost those guys, but at least we're going to cover the 70s, the 80s, the 90s up to now.
Yeah.
And build upon that. So it's going to suck for me, man, because I'm a vendor there, and I keep telling my wife, I was like, hey, can you watch the booth for the rest of the weekend? Because I want to go to the work. I want to go to the panels. I want to, it's just, the history, just the history of these guys is just amazing. And so,
yeah, and as somebody with a YouTube channel, like I'm not going there like as a YouTube channel. Like I'm going there as like a lifelong fan of G.I. Joe. Like I don't even know what I'm gonna film or what I'm gonna do, or I know I'm gonna do some streams here and there, and grab some people and suck them into it. But I'm going there to experience it. I'm going there to just have some fun. But look at this comment. Maximilian Tucker says, I can't believe I'm stuck at home with a broken neck. Man, I hope you get better soon.
Ouch, man.
That sucks. I'm super sorry to hear that.
Mm.
Action Joe Figs. Will Ace be there? No, Ace will be at Joe Fest. And I start some other stuff. Brian Stevenson is asking, so we pick up our shirt when we show our commander package QR ?
Okay, that's a really good question. And what we're going to do is when we close the store down on the 16th, on the 17th, we're going to contact everybody who is a commander's package holder and tell them personally where to go to pick up their stuff. But I'll go ahead and fill it in right now. For Friday, vendor load in is from 10 o'clock till about 6 o'clock. So the vendor's going to be really busy doing that, but we will have people stationed at the front desk or the admissions table. And anybody who has a commander's package that they paid online, they can go there from 12 o'clock until 6 o'clock and pick up their commander's package. And what the commander's package entails, it's their badge that says commander's package, obviously, the t-shirt size that they chose. So they'll get the t-shirt. They'll get their own DFW G.I. Joe and Action Figure Show tote bag, so they can use that to do some shopping. And there will be some information for the next show. Save the date, and then all of our sponsors will have information in there. We've got we're a sponsor. Ace's Emporium of Cool as a sponsor. Let me see. Steel City Publishing, which is Dan. He's a sponsor. Then we got Chicken Fried Toys, which Paul Montime will be at the show. And then wrapping it up, we also have Call Sign Longbow and Strike Force Alpha as the sponsors. So, but yeah, they can show up, between 12 o'clock and like that. And then what we'll do is for Friday night preview, then we'll move it over if they're coming. We're going to have a designated admissions place for prepaid tickets, and we're going to carry that over till Saturday. So if you're coming to the show and you've already like bought your, say you bought your what do you call it, your Saturday early bird for 9, you go to that particular area and go ahead and say, hey, I've got my thing. They check it, they give you your wristband, and you go in. If you're a cash customer, you're going to go through a cash line. And if you're a credit card customer, you're going to go through a credit card line. So we're trying to streamline it because, heck, man, Commander's package, we got like 85 people who've already bought a Commander's package. So I guess I gave the dollar explanation for a nickel question, but sorry. It's something that's been on my mind this entire week.
No, totally cool. Fantasia Workshop says, I'm not comfortable with the term the Commander's package. And then Frostbite, G.I. Joe Repro says, how big is the Commander's package?
It's huge. It's huge.
Huge. Yeah, Mikey's not here.
It's huge. 34 counts of huge.
Jeff W. is asking, somebody already answered it, but hey, we can always expand on. Is there a shuttle from the Hilton Garden Inn to the convention center? I don't want to walk a mile with an armload of toys.
The answer is yes. What you do for that is the hour before you want to leave. So if you say you want to leave at 10 o'clock, go to the front desk at the Hilton Garden Inn at 9 o'clock and say, hey, I'm going to need a shuttle for 10 o'clock. Yep. And they'll put your name on the list and just make sure that you're there. Now,
message, bitch.
I'm sorry?
I said message, bitch. Sorry.
But the shuttles carry only 10 people at a time. So we just ask everybody to be patient. Because who knows, I'm sure 10 o'clock will be kind of heavy traffic. We're going to be looking for, I'm sure we'll have some people there, but hey, if you need a ride, jump in with us and da-da-da-da. On the flip side, when you're done with the show, just go to the front admissions table at the show and find an employee that they'll have an orange shirt that says staff on, and just say, hey, I need to get a ride back to the hotel. And what they will do is they'll call the hotel, and then the hotel will send a shuttle over there. They have 2 shuttles. They're going to do their best to cycle for us. However, if they're going to if they have to pick somebody up at the airport,
right,
they got to do that. That's basically the time frame. Again, if you're a Commander's package holder, that'll be in your introduction, and we'll post it again. We posted it a couple of times on the Facebook page, but we'll be posting it again this week. So, and if somebody doesn't want to wait, because obviously the shuttles are free. If they don't want to wait, they can take an Uber. Ubers are all around there if they want to. We are working with hotels.
Don't ask me for a ride, because I'll give you a ride anyway. Masterson 42 is here. Good to see you, sir. And Mython the Python says, oops, sorry I'm late. We'll have to watch the majority and replay. That's a rookie move, dude. Hope you all are doing well. Looking forward to DFW. My wife and I got the Commander's package and the vehicle workshop. Very excited. Cool.
I think they're cosplaying too. I think they're cosplaying as TIE fighter pilots, maybe.
Yeah, he's he definitely is. He is part of the 501st.
The 501st, yeah, because I remember them mentioning that. Yeah,
I'm still up in the air if the ma'am and I are gonna dress up. So we'll see. I don't know.
Not me. I used to joke. Because I'm a big boy. I used to joke that I was going to do gung ho the later years, where I'm wearing a flak vest, but my guts all hanging out and everything. And
hell yeah,
my thumper's just hanging on the back. I'd been shot in 20 years. So
do it.
No, I think I'd scare small children. So I probably need to keep that one wrapped.
And this isn't shaming on anyone, because you should go to, cons and just have a good old time. But have you seen some of the girls that dress up as Harley Quinn and or Poison Ivy? Yeah, I have.
I've seen some good ones and I've seen some bad ones.
Yeah, me too. Fantasia Workshop says Chad needs a booth at the show with blackjack and hookers.
Hookers and blow is an option, but not blackjack and hookers. So I can only get halfway there for you.
Yeah. Yeah,
But you do have,
that
you
whole
do have a
gaming
table.
commission thing, whatever. Yeah,
You do have
we
a
got
table.
We do have a
You
table.
got a table.
Yep,
You got a
I
table.
got a table.
Got a table.
Mike's GI Dojo says, glad that Greg is going to start carrying it so I can order some 12-inch Joe and Action Force at the same time.
We're doing our best. We're doing our best. You know, what's really funny, sorry, I just got a text from Kirk. Oh, cool. Sweet. Sorry, Kirk just
Ziggy
texted me.
inside?
Yeah, it's about the workshop. Cotswold Collectibles I always jokingly say that Cotswold Collectibles has kind of like this Kmart mark on them because a lot of people associate Cotswold Collectibles with only 12-inch. And it's not true because it started with 12-inch and then they started carrying 3 3/4 inch. In fact, for a while we were carrying a ton of Fun School. Is it Fun School from India? Is that what it's called?
Yep, Fun School.
Fun School. I always get it mixed up with Play School. We had an end with carrying a ton of Fun School stuff, and then we also had an end with some of the people at Hasbro that we would carry some other stuff from them, and then it just kind of dried up. And then I brought the company over from Washington to. Sorry, Kirk's he texted me again. I don't think he knows I'm on the podcast.
No, he knows because he and I discussed him coming on with the three of us tonight. And it remember we waited until the 11th hour and he was like, oh, sorry, I'm out of town for work. So we almost had Kirk Bazigian with us, but the man's busy.
Yeah,
anyway.
He's a busy man. I mean, I texted
Chad said, shush, wait your turn.
Huh?
I jokingly said, Chad, tell him Chad said, wait your turn.
Oh, Chad said shush. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, I actually messaged it. But anyway, getting back to the thing, I've really been making a concerted effort to get us back into 3 3/4 inch because I was born in 71, so I was very lucky. I had the best of both worlds. You know, I had G.I. Joe, Adventure Team, Super Joe, Star Wars, and Real American Hero. So I haven't really carried so much of the G.I. Joe stuff because it's kind of like it's pretty well saturated. But you know, Heavy Armor toys, we're carrying them. We're carrying Whiskey Jack toys with their what's their line called, Chad? They're ninjas. God,
Legends of the Hidden Force.
Legends of the Hidden Force, yeah. So we're carrying that, and then we're carrying Strike Force Alpha for a limited degree, and then Haya toys if we can ever get it in. Everybody's like, man, I've been waiting 7 months. We're like, dude, we're waiting as well. And then, I just got the information from Valaverse about carrying that. And so we're really excited about that because we've been carrying 1/12. We've been carrying Mezco for a while, 1/12 Collective. And so we're pretty excited about that. And then, of course, as you and I have been talking, we're branching out into 1/18 scale MNC Torrance Center World Peacekeepers. And to answer everybody's questions, I'm sure someone's going to ask me, are you going to have the A10 tank busters?
You mean this one right here? This one right here? Mython the Python with a 2-month member chat. Thank you, my friend. And says, I offer my humblest apologies for my rookie move. It was just a joke, my friend. You're here now. That's all that matters. P.S. Will there be any more A10s for sale? Because he bought the only.
Yes, I have ordered 30 more A10s. They're supposed to ship via DHL tomorrow from China. And I think those things are probably going to, fingers crossed, eyes wide shut, they'll be arriving Wednesday. And we are literally taking it off of the DHL truck and just loading it straight onto the U-Haul. So yeah. if you want an A10, because a lot of people comment to us, God, why does it cost so much to ship the A10? What's a big freaking plane?
Yeah.
So if you don't want to pay that,
it takes up real estate.
So yeah, I ordered 30 of those bad boys. I ordered the that one that has the dual missile system, looks like an ICBM launcher.
Yeah.
Ordered the that one helicopter. It's like a gray, looks like a French helicopter, military helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ordered some Su-27s, or Sukuyo, or whatever those were called.
The Sukhoi? Yeah.
Yeah, those two. I butcher the Russian language. I'm sorry.
Yeah, those are awesome. They're awesome.
So we're bringing those in, and it's just like first come, first serve. But I knew everybody's going to want an A10, so we ordered 30 of those bad boys. Yep. So, and I'm really excited about it. And like I think you and I talked about it before, we're still working on Leonard. I love the core. I grew up with those guys, those things. Oddly enough, the owner of the company, Leonard, he's actually from Oklahoma, and we're still working on him to try to get it in. And they're also talking to Chatmay as well. So hopefully get some Chatmay stuff.
Oh
Yeah.
Leonard the Core and Leonard the Core and Chatmay, forget it.
Yeah.
All about it.
Yeah. So we're working on it. I mean, our biggest coup was to be able to get in MNC Toy Center World Peacekeepers. We got our foot in the door with 1/6 scale guys, with figures and vehicles. And, we brought in the Humvees and the Watchtowers. And so now we're migrating over to 1/18 scale. So, like I said, just keep an eye on us, because we're really wanting, I mean, it's like, what is it, the men's hair club? It's like, I'm not only the owner of the company, I'm a client,
Yeah.
So
I'm not only am I the owner, but I'm also a client. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Cheesiest ads ever.
Patrick Strauko, thank you for renewing your channel membership. I really appreciate it. Maybe you can answer this, Greg, because K-Dog Broadcasting did post this. I meant to get to it, but Daryl had to go. When did Daryl start at Hasbro? It was like 2000-ish, right?
It was 2000-ish. The way I got to know Daryl was Daryl wrote a beautiful book on G.I. Joe, the 12-inch G.I. Joe.
Yes.
And I think that's been out of print for many years. And then, he got picked up and started working for Hasbro. And it was such an amazing thing, because, we'd seen Daryl at the shows, at Brian's shows. And to see him, it was like, okay, this is great. One of our own is now in. And
there it is. He started right around September 11th.
Yeah. And Daryl doesn't give himself enough credit, but when he introduced the 40th anniversary for 12-inch, that was a major coup, because you could get the figure and you could get the uniform set, and you had the ones that were from 1964. I don't know if you made it to 65, but those were really beautiful sets if you're a G.I. Joe 12-inch collector. Just the distribution was horrible. I know that's a shock to hear distribution from Hasbro was bad, but
it's only getting worse.
We in the G.I. Joe collecting community really admired him for getting to pull that off. Yeah, they're dropping like flies over there.
Yeah, Daryl's he's up there. He is very much up there. As a lifelong fan of G.I. Joe, I definitely put Daryl very high up on that list with Kirk Bazzigian and a lot of the other guys. 100%. Jason Keene, Chad, do you have the Action Force Jammer and Gaucho? No. I'm working on getting the Action Force headquarters that Jammer and Gaucho come with. So that's showing up in pieces parts. So I do have the modern versions of them both, but not the original Palatoy versions. Still working on that.
Can I ask you a question, Chad, about that?
Please.
Like I said, I'm Bobby's coming to the show, and we're super stoked about it. And I know he has the Action Force name, but does he have the rights to do like Gaucho and Jammer and so those different characters from that line, or
no?
No. Okay.
He bought the name.
The name. Okay.
He's discussed before how he could have gone down that rabbit hole, but he knew that he was going to do something completely new and unique. Now, like Desert Rat, obviously that trademark had long past expired, and he bought Steel Brigade, he bought Action Force, and he and I have joked numerous times about how he saw that he could have bought Serpentor and Flint, and I'm like, dude, you should have just because. But yeah, that's one of those things. Hasbro, they need one person in that damn company that just renews trademarks.
Yeah, because didn't even Leonard score some of their names too?
Yeah, so did Fresh Monkey Fiction Topside, right?
Yeah.
Because the Topside trademark had expired, and so Fresh Monkey Fiction for Eagle Force, they're like, you know what? We'll make a Topside figure. So they lost the copyright for the design and the trademark for the name. Wow. And the freaking Eagle Force Topside is a damn good modern figure. He's awesome. I love him. And he looks just like Topside because, you know, they bought the copyright.
That's cool. That's cool. I've never delved into that, but I was something I was going to ask Bobby, but I knew you probably know.
Yeah, I know.
You do know.
Yeah. Blue Serendipity sends a 2-month Chad chat. Thank you so much, Samantha, and says, we will be there Wednesday morning, so holler at us when you get in. Sweet.
Wow. We're getting there early.
I will be there to be determined, right? Because I got that, Greg, you know I got that thing going on, right? So
yep.
I might go early for that.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't stay later because first of all, the ma'am and I have our anniversary on the 25th. So that's a us day. And yeah. We'll see. It'll be Wednesday or Thursday when I get in. So
I know that my wife and my anniversary is the 24th. So you know where I'll be. And actually, I think Ron and Jenny's anniversary, I think, is Friday when they're flying in. So we're going to roll out the carpet for them.
That's awesome. It'll be good to see them again too. They're
the
a
greatest
great couple. Yeah,
they're such a great couple.
Frostbite G.I. Joe Repro says, "Can we get Chad a booth where he holds the commander's package for everyone until they pick it up?" I only got 2 hands, kids. So
we'll get you a hydraulic lift so you can manage it more.
Yeah. Just Jeff is asking you, Greg, do you have the plain toy set from Sky Captain?
Plain toy set from Sky Captain?
Yeah, there's that Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's that plane in that big ass window box.
No, God, I didn't even know they made that.
Jeffy, one of the stores here in Albuquerque had it, dude. You and I were in that store when you were looking at that freaking Batgirl. They had that Sky Captain set on the shelf, man. I bet you they still got it. Dude, if you want that set, Jeff, just hit me up, man. I'll go inquire about it.
Yeah, I've never heard of that one. He's got me on that one.
Oh yeah, the box it's bigger than the freaking Sectar shit.
Holy cow. Yeah, but there's a guy at the show. He'll bring that Sectar's what is it called? The Hive?
Yeah, HYVE.
The Hive playset. He brings it every year. Yeah, he brings it every year. That box is huge. And it's complete, I think.
Yeah, that's what she said.
If you can figure out how to get it home, you can buy
it. Look at this. Just Another Anderson said, "Oh shit, what's the date? My anniversary is June 13th. That's tomorrow, dude."
Yeah, you might want to get on the ball.
Yeah, he said, "Thanks to both of us for reminding him." Here for you, buddy. Here for you. Just Another Anderson, I think he just stumbled across my channel, and that dude has been on it. He has been around.
Cool.
Zakanan's anniversary is also a few days away. And then Jeff W says, "Okay, after hearing about the shuttle options, I just reserved a rental car at the Enterprise across the street from the hotel. 7-passenger minivan, baby. Who wants to go for Texas barbecue?" I do. Yeah, I do.
It would, if you're flying in, and you really want to kind of get around there, I mean, a rental car is not a bad idea, to be honest with you. But if you're running on a budget, we're trying to keep everything, budget minded, shuttle from the airport to the hotel, from the hotel to the convention center and back. There's a restaurant in the hotel if you just want to eat at the hotel, or where you can walk. So we're trying to accommodate anybody and everybody. Anybody that's got a big budget, you got a small budget, you got no budget, So
yeah. Here's a serious question. Do French wolfmen have Leonards?
Yeah. Oui.
So not only is it a Monster Squad joke, but it's also a Leonard the Core joke. I'm here for it. I love it. Yeah, whatever. It's all good. Andrew M has no budget. Same Time Toys, no budget.
Yeah, we know there are going to be people that they want to go do some shopping, or they just want to go see these guys talk and stuff like that. So we're trying to work it. In fact, that's the reason why for next year, when we have the save the date, we're moving to a totally different location. which is still close to the airport. But it's going to be the hotel and the not the convention center, but the hotel and the ballroom and the breakaway rooms and the panels are all going to be under one roof. Yeah. So if you can go there, you can eat at the restaurant if you want to. You can go to the bar, do some drinking if you want to. You can stay at the hotel the entire time. I'm used to doing that when I used to do shows, cons by myself. But if they want to take an Uber or to get a ride, I mean, it's right in Irving. You kind of learn the way around there. Around Irving and Las Colinas area, there's a lot of restaurants around there. I mean, there's these little small suburbs of Dallas are like that. So yeah, we'll try to take care of them. And like I said, if they want to go eat to some of these places, you can just walk to it. I'm personally happy that B-Dubs is open. I'll probably be going to B-Dubs myself and get me some buffalo wings. So I'm a B-Dubs nut.
Right on. Just Jeff is asking, I haven't seen anything about it because I'm blind. Is the diorama contest still a thing?
Yes. The diorama contest is still a thing. We're hosting a diorama contest, a custom diorama contest, which includes a vehicle. If you want to submit a vehicle, it will be considered as a diorama. And if you want to do a custom figure contest, you can. And the club, the DFW G.I. Joe club, is sponsoring that. And they are giving away Joe Bucks. And what that is to say, if you win first prize, you get $75 in Joe Bucks. So they'll give you this $75 Joe Bucks, and you can spend that at any vendor you want to at the show. And so you give them the $75, say you're going to go over to White Elephant Toys. I want about $75 worth of merch. You give them that $75, they give you $75 worth of merch, and then they just take that $75, take it back to the DFW club, and they get reimbursed $75. So we think it's we really like the idea because it's kind of a mutual beneficial thing. It helps people to compete and get creative, which we've always been a big supporter of that. But also it enables you, especially those guys that don't have any money, if they build a diorama and they win, boom, they get some money, they can go spend it. So
yeah, the DFW.
So yes, it is.
The show bucks is brilliant. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's a really neat idea. I think it's a brilliant idea. Yeah.
And HGC just got here. It's good to see you, buddy. I do have to say, though, since Jeff kind of brought it up, for anyone who's interested in what's going on at the show, again, all the links are in the description. And here you go, right? Buying tickets. Tickets are only available till the 16th, right? Vendor registration, that's already a done deal. But then all the guest and vendor lists, the contest, the schedule, which someone else was asking, Roll Keeper, are the panels at the hotel or the site?
The panel, okay. The majority, the panels are all at the convention center.
Yep.
Right here. So every single thing that is categorized as a panel, be it the Valaverse panel or the G.I. Joe Royal Mechanic, those are all at the convention center. Again, there is a workshop. Excuse me. There's a workshop Saturday night, which is Build a Vehicle with the Hasbro Legends. That is a paid admission event. You have to pay $25, but the reason for that is you get your own kit. You bring your own vehicle. Yeah. We give you the kit for all the stuff. Dave Kunitz basically handpicked all the parts of the kit. And then we have styrene and stuff like that. And so Dave and Greg and Frank are going to kind of share their wisdom of how they created different things and what they used in the tools. Excuse me. And then they break out. And then the only other thing we have that is also at the hotel is if you're a commander's package holder, which totally sounds horrible now. Thanks, Chad. If you're a commander's package holder, you get to come to the mixer. You get to come to the mixer Friday night at the hotel around 8 o'clock, and you can hang around and talk to, you can talk to Kurt Biziggy, and you can talk to Kurt Groen, all those guys. So that's an incentive to get the commander's package.
Does my press pass get me into that?
We'll talk after the show's over, Chad.
Yeah. Which we got to call it here soon. I got to jump over on 3POA, but yeah.
Yeah, you do, don't you?
I do. Yeah.
But yeah, we can figure that out. I thought you automatically had a commander's package. Maybe I don't know.
No, I went to
I'm
buy
just-
one, and then you were like, "No, I got you a press pass," and I was like, "Oh," because I was just about to click, pay now.
I got you covered. Got you and your wife covered.
You're the man. I appreciate you.
No, dude, you've been been very supportive and very vocal about the show, and we appreciate that. Because I mean, like this was kind of a crazy year for us, so we appreciate that.
No, absolutely. James Lucas says, using his 2-month Chad chat, thanks, brother, and says, Chad, I don't know if you saw my chat earlier, but since you're my spirit animal, I'll be at DFW vicariously through you. Thanks, my friend. I did see it, my friend. I actually had it up on the screen for a while. Sometimes when people are talking, I don't want to interrupt them, and so I just leave like stupid shit like this up for a while. Yeah. Anyway, but yes, Greg, I always appreciate you, and I'm definitely going to shout this show out no matter what. Even if I wasn't going, which I was going no matter what, what you guys are all doing this year for the 60th anniversary of G.I. Joe it's beyond compare. And I'm more than excited for it. I'm so happy for you, for Cotswold, for the show itself. But yeah, I'm stoked. Oh, here's another question for you.
Yeah.
I got the Commander's package with the 2XL t-shirt. What can I do at the Joe show? Hang out? Everything? I don't know.
You can well, I mean, the commander's pack, yeah, everything pretty much, with the exception of the Build-A-Vehicle. The commander's package gets you in Friday night from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. It gets you in Saturday. You even get early bird access, so you can come in as early as 9 o'clock. And then it gets you in Sunday early bird at 9 o'clock in the morning. And then of course, you get your t-shirt, and then finally you get the mixer for Saturday night. So all the guys are coming in. We've had people that do ask us, that said, will the special guests be there Friday night? No, they won't. They will not be at the convention center. Because some of these guys they'll be at the mixer. They'll be at the mixer at 8 o'clock, but everybody's coming in around 3 o'clock, and then we're taking them all out to dinner, show of appreciation. And then of course, Ron and Jenny won't be arriving until 6. So literally we're picking them up and taking them straight to the restaurant and then bringing them back at 8. So that's what the commander's package is, kind of a full meal deal,
And the badges have the schedule on it too. I did see that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. They have the schedule on the back. So if you're going, hey, what time can I get in the show? You just look on the back of that answer.
Yeah.
It even has a QR code in case you just can't read. If you can't read what's on the back of that card, you can scan the QR code. It'll take you to the website, and you can blow up the images or whatever like that. So we anticipated people that have shitty memories like me, and put it on the back of the cars. So we're getting them up there. We're getting that technology.
Same Time Toys is asking who's charging for autographs and who's included.
Okay, good question. Larry Hama, I just posted on our Facebook page, so go to our Facebook page, and I posted Larry Hama's rates for, like, if he's going to do a sketch or if he's doing autographs. And it's if it's like a personalized autograph, I think those are free, but if it's just his autograph period, there's a charge to that.
Yes.
Then you have Ron Rudat. Ron is charging, I want to say, $25 for black and white prints, $50 for color prints. They're beautiful. I got Stalker last year, absolutely phenomenal. And then I think if you're doing just a generic autograph of his name, I forget what his price is for that. And I think he said pictures are free. So, and then the only other person that is doing prints, Larry Selman, who Larry was involved with a lot of the packaging artwork for the Classic Collection line. He's selling prints. They're like 8x10 prints, and they're like $50 a color print or 2 for $25. And he did a ton of artwork for Classic Collection. He even did a Jurassic Park. He even did some concepts for Jurassic Park that never made it. And then he has his military ones. He has some beautiful military artwork. I don't know if you're familiar with Don Stivers. He did the Adventure Team artwork, but this guy, Larry's a great guy, very soft spoken, but very great artist. As far as the other guys, these guys, I mean, you know, you got Kirk Bazigian and all those other guys. I really don't know. For all I know, I don't think they're going to be charging anything. I think they're just there for the experience.
Yeah, just hit them up, right? Like, obviously, be respectful and, you know, wait your freaking turn.
Yeah.
But yeah, just hit them up.
Yeah, don't be bringing 15 prints of the flag or something for Greg Burnson to sign or whatever. You know.
All right. One last question, and then we got a
one last question.
One last question.
Yeah.
What is the shirt design? Where can people see that? Facebook, Instagram?
They can see it on Facebook. I'll go ahead and post it again tomorrow morning.
Okay.
The design, we worked with George Vega, who I got to know through White Elephant Toys, aka Strike Force Alpha. He's done some work for them, and he's also done some work for freelance for Marvel and DC. We wanted to cross the bridge. We have the 1967 Sabotage artwork from 1967 G.I. Joe, and then we have George's interpretation of 1982 Snake Eyes, and then we have our show logo, and then we have celebrating 60 years of G.I. Joe. So we only got 60 years, and we only have 1 year to do it. So we wanted to cover both the basics. And we know we have fans from all the ages. So
cool. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
So it's
Greg,
a really neat T-shirt. So.
Oh yeah. And I'm super excited. I chat with you all the time, but I'm really looking forward to seeing you here next weekend. So
it's good. You're gonna blink and you're gonna see it. But yeah, brother, I'm really excited for it as well. I'm really excited to meet you and your wife in person. So
oh yeah, we're gonna have a blast, and thank you again for doing this for everybody. Everybody who's hanging out with us in the chat, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for all your awesome questions for Greg and Daryl DePriest. Thank you again, Daryl, for being here with us. And Greg, you're gonna sign us off. Oh yeah,
all
go
right.
over to
What do I do?
3POA. Sign us off.
Huh?
You're signing us off.
Tally ho! I don't know.
I love it. Bye.
Enough said. All right.